Mocking every pick of the first round of the 2022 NFL Draft. Let's get it going. Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. Really two different directions they could go here. They could go offensive line. They have a young signal caller in Trevor Lawrence they need to support. They spent a bunch of money to get him some weapons in the offseason. They also franchise tagged tackle Cam Robinson. By no means did they solve that position. By no means did that exclude them from taking an offensive lineman here, but I think it did buy them some time to go ahead and take the best overall player in this draft. That's what I think they're going to do. That's Aiden Hutchinson, edge from Michigan, 6'5", 265, elite traits, elite production, plays a premier position, a home run pick. In the first round, they can pair him with Josh Allen. They have now two legitimate bookend edge rushers, and they can go ahead and bolster their offensive line at pick 33. Now, Detroit Lions are on the clock. They have holes everywhere. I don't know if they're going to go quarterback here. Might be a little early. Probably in a best player available mindset. And for me, they're going to go ahead and get themselves a pass rusher of their own. They're going to go ahead and get Kayvon Thibodeaux, edge rusher out of Oregon. 6'3", 255. Him and Hutchinson, for the better part of a year, were considered to be prospects 1A and 1B in this draft class. There's been some smoke around Kayvon Thibodeaux and his character. To me, he's just a guy who likes his brand, which is pretty much typical of every modern day athlete. I'm not worried about it. He is definitely one of the top 5 players in this draft. Also plays that premier position of edge rusher. The Lions go ahead and take him at pick number 2. This puts Houston on the clock. Houston, just like Detroit, holes everywhere. Also, probably not taking a quarterback. They're going to run it back with Davis Mills, who surprised a lot of people and was decent last year. So they're going to go ahead and get the best offensive lineman, in my opinion, in this draft. That's going to be Ikem Ekwonu, offensive tackle, North Carolina State. Showed out at the combine, measured a little bit taller and longer than people thought, long enough to play tackle at the next level, 6'4", 315. He's nasty. He's a tone setter on the offensive line. The Texans go ahead and get Davis Mills, some solid protection with a 3rd overall pick. Icky is pick number 3. New York Jets on the clock. Wanted Thibodeaux. He's not there. Where do we pivot from here? To me, it may be a little high for some people, but the pick here is Ahmad Sauce Gardner. Jets have had many lengthy meetings with the cornerback from Cincinnati, 6'3", 195. Incredibly fast, good technique, good ball skills, never allowed a touchdown in college. I think he is a top 5 player in this draft. I don't think it's that much of a reach, even though you'd prefer an edge rusher. Ahmad Sauce Gardner is the pick for the New York Jets at 4. This is going to put the New York Giants on the clock at 5. They severely need help on the offensive line. So to me, this is a really easy pick if the board falls this way. I think they go ahead and get Evan Neal, one of the top 2 tackles, 6'7", 350 plus, moves in ways that human beings that size should not be able to move. Giants go ahead and get some offensive line help at pick number 5. Carolina Panthers on the clock at 6. Really, they're either going quarterback or offensive tackle, and I think this is the first spot we see a quarterback off the board. Malik Willis has been rising up draft boards, and I think honestly in Carolina, they have to do something at the quarterback position. Otherwise, everybody's getting fired. So they may have to just roll the dice on the best guy in this draft class. To me, the upside of Malik Willis is too much to pass up on here. He's the pick at number 6. The Giants are back on the clock. They got some help on the offensive line. They also could use some help on the defensive line. But they could also just be in the best player available mindset here now that they've fulfilled their biggest need. And I think they're going to go ahead and get Kyle Hamilton, safety from Notre Dame. Not the sexiest pick, but a top 5 talent, regardless of position in this draft. Absolutely. 6'4", 220, rangy, versatile, a day 1 impact player on the defensive side of the football. He's going to be the pick at 7. Moving on to 8, Atlanta. Man, the roster is depleted, but I think the wide receiver room in Atlanta as it sits right now might be the worst position group in the NFL. I think they're going to go ahead and take who I would hope would fall to the Jets at 10, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to go ahead and get Garrett Wilson, wide receiver, Ohio State, 6 foot, 195, a 4.37 40, excellent yards after catch, smooth route runner, just a playmaker. He's going to instantly become the favorite target of Marcus Mariota. He's the pick at number 8. The Seahawks, they now have Denver's pick since they traded Russell Wilson. They could use some help maybe on the offensive line. Also, their entire defense struggled quite mightily last season. So, they needed a corner, but Sauce isn't there. They just spent a bunch of money on some safeties. Defensive tackle might be too high here. So I think this is where we're going to see Travon Walker get, in my opinion, a little bit overdrafted. Dude was a certified combine warrior, 6'5", 270, a 4.5 40. That is in the Jadeveon Clowney, Julius Peppers freak range for edge players, but lack of production in college, only 9.5 sacks. But the Seahawks are going to take a chance on his upside, think they could coach him up. Travon Walker is the pick at number 9. This puts the Jets back on the clock. They didn't get the edge they wanted at 4, but they're going to go ahead and take one at 10. Jermaine Johnson, Florida State, he's going to be the pick here. I think that's something the New York Jets fans could definitely live with. Now maybe we're thinking of what do we do with wide receiver? Maybe we trade back up into the first round, but we're not going to address that in this mock draft. Here, the way the board fell, I think this was the way to go. Jermaine Johnson had 11.5 sacks last year. He's big enough to play defensive end in the 4-3. Production, measurables, level of competition, it's all a check. He's 11th best player according to this simulation, and we get him at 10. That's fine. That's good value. It's a position of need. The Washington Commanders are now on the clock. And this has been a really, really tough pick for me to mock. They could go in a lot of different directions here, but I think they're going to go ahead and get finally a really solid complementary wide receiver to Terry McLaurin, who's kind of been the only show in town in recent years. And I think that's going to be wide receiver Drake London out of USC, a big-bodied red zone 50-50 ball threat for Carson Wentz to go ahead and chuck up the ball to. He's the pick at number 11. This puts Minnesota on the clock at number 12. They retained Daniel Hunter, their edge. That could have been a pick for him if they traded him. And obviously they're not taking a quarterback. Wide receiver, they're probably okay with Thielen and Justin Jefferson. So I think we're going to look at the best players available here. And I'm going to go Stingley. It's a little high for me just because of the injury concern, but I think that he's still riding high off of that incredible freshman season. They need help in the secondary. So for me, I'm hoping the Jets stay away from him just because of the injuries, but I know a lot of teams are high on him. He's probably going to go in the top 15. Derek Stingley, he's the pick to Minnesota at 12. Texans, they have the Deshaun Watson trade, so they're back on the clock at 13. They already selected, let me double check. Yep, they got Ike Ekwonu at number 3. So they're probably good at the offensive line position here. And I think they're going to go ahead and they are going to get Davis Mills. They got him an offensive lineman. I think they're going to go ahead and get him a wide receiver here, a weapon to properly evaluate their young quarterback. And I think that is going to be Treylon Burks, wide receiver, Arkansas. Brandon Cooks, he's smaller, he's shiftier, he's speedy. Now you get Treylon Burks, 6'2", 225, a big yards after the catch guy, a physical blocker, a tone setter. He is the pick at 13. 14, Baltimore. I think we're going to see our first interior offensive lineman come off the board here. I think they're going to go Tyler Linderbaum, center, Iowa. To me, Linderbaum is one of the few can't-miss prospects in this draft. He is nasty. There is an ocean of gap between him and the next best center. He's a plug-and-play starter on day one, and now they have their center for the next decade. The 14th overall pick is well worth it. Now Philly is on the clock, and they have 3 first-round picks. So they could go a lot of different directions here. I think they also want to support their young quarterback. That's been a theme in this draft. They got Devontae Smith last year, but Rieger's been a bit of a disappointment, so they have a hole at receiver. They could also go corner here, but I think the pick for them is going to be Chris Olave, wide receiver, Ohio State. Garrett Wilson's teammate, 6'1", 190, another sub 4.40, super silky smooth, has to put on some weight, has to get better at the contested catch point, but you're going to press cover him, you better hit him, because if not, he is gone. His release is insane. Now Jalen Hurts has two legitimate starting outside wide receivers. Eagles back on the clock at pick number 16. And I think they're going to get some defensive line help here. I think they're going to go Jordan Davis, defensive tackle from Georgia, a freakish athlete. Everything that Ikem Ekwonu and Evan Neal were doing as offensive linemen, he's doing similar freakish things on the defensive line. A guy who can get you 6 to 8 sacks, but be nasty against the run, tons of pressures. You're going to have to assign 2 human beings to block him at all times. He's the pick at 16. 17, Chargers are on the clock. They did a lot in free agency. They upgraded their edge. They upgraded their cornerback room. They re-signed wide receiver Mike Williams. They got a really good tackle in last year's draft, Rashawn Slater. They're going to go ahead and get another bookend tackle here. They're going to go Charles Cross, Mississippi State. This is a bit of a fall for him, ranked as the 8th overall player in this simulation. He goes at 17. He is not the mauler that Icky or Neal is, but a super smooth athlete, really good hands. You never see him on the ground. Reminds me of DeBrickashaw Ferguson in his heyday with the Jets. Saints are on the clock at 18. This is a spot where I think a team could come up and maybe trade for the Saints to get stockpile some picks. Quarterback's been rumored here, and I think that's the way that they're going to go. They have a new coaching staff there after Sean Payton has left, and I think they want to bring in their own guy. They have Jameis Winston, but he's a bridge guy, so I think they're going to go ahead and take Kenny Pickett, quarterback from Pitt. Some questions about things like hand size. That I don't know how much that matters, but definitely one of the top 2 quarterback prospects in this draft class. He's the pick at 18. They don't have to trade up to get him, so they're just going to do what the Patriots did last year, just hang out in the teens and hope a quarterback prospect falls to them. Eagles back on the clock again. They got a wide receiver. They got a defensive tackle. They need some help in the secondary, and here they're going to go with Washington corner Trent McDuffie. 6 foot, 195. He's strong. He's solid. He's not a freak athlete. He's really a safe bet. I think he's not a boomer bust prospect. You know what he's going to be. He's got some versatility. He can play the slot. He can play outside. He's not going to be a perennial all-pro, but a really solid above average starter, maybe make a Pro Bowl or 2, and that is more than fine with the 19th overall pick, an immediate starter at corner, Trent McDuffie. He's the pick at 19. Pittsburgh Steelers, another team that needs a quarterback. They got Mitch Trubisky. He's their bridge. They're probably hoping that Pickett fell to them, but he didn't, and there's no trades in this draft. So if the board falls this way, I think they're going to be in a best player available mindset, and I think they're going to get TJ Watt, a bookend edge rusher. That's going to be George Karlaftis, edge from Purdue, 6'5", close to 270, not as athletic and bendy as some of the other edge rushers in this draft class, but plays with a ton of strength and has a really good motor. Pro comp to me is Emmanuel Ogbah, a guy who's going to get you 8 to 10 sacks, be really good against the run, long arms, good football IQ. He just feels like a Pittsburgh Steeler, doesn't he? He's going to be the pick at number 20. Patriots on the clock at 21. They have a bunch of okay wide receivers, but they don't have a playmaker, and I think they're going to head and get one here. Jameson Williams, wide receiver, Alabama, would have been a top 10 pick had he not torn his ACL, but 6'2", 195, and a ridiculous deep threat. I mean, he is Deshaun Jackson, but 4 inches taller, and the Patriots are going to be okay if they have to wait the first month of the season before he is fully healthy and get him on the field. It's a 5-year contract. Jameson Williams is worth the wait, especially at pick 21. The Green Bay Packers are on the clock at pick 22, and they desperately need a wide receiver. Aaron Rodgers got the bag, but he lost Devontae Adams. So we're going to look at the best wide receivers available. Jahan Dotson, to me, I love Jahan Dotson, but I think Christian Watson might have combined his way into the first round. I really do. And he's of the similar build and speed of Marquise Valdez-Scantling, who they just lost. 6'4", sub 4.3, 40-yard dash time. And it's not just track speed. He lacks production, but if you do watch him, he plays incredibly fast. He's going to be the pick at 43. Aaron Rodgers gets a weapon to throw to at 22. Moving into pick 23, Arizona. They have a bunch of needs all over the field. Could use some depth everywhere, but no like pressing major holes. So I think they're okay kind of being in a best player available mindset too. And I think they're going to go ahead and address offensive line. They've kind of always been sort of retooling, rebuilding this offensive line ever since Kyler Murray has been there. They're going to go ahead and get Trevor Penning, offensive tackle, Northern Iowa. He is a mauler. He's big, he's strong, he's nasty. Really good in the run game. Not sure if he's quite fits as a left tackle, but definitely a starting right tackle. Trevor Penning, he is the pick for Arizona. The Cowboys are on the clock at pick 24, and I think they're going to go defense here. And I think they're going to get themselves linebacker Devin Lloyd. Leighton Vander Esch, still a free agent as far as I know. They're going to go ahead and get Devin Lloyd, who can play middle linebacker, and that's going to free up Micah Parsons to be more of an edge rusher, a role that he really excelled in last season. Devin Lloyd, big, fast, long, reminds me of Devondre Campbell. An immediate starter, an upgrade on your defense, good value at pick 24. Buffalo Bills are on the clock. They lost cornerback Levi Wallace, and Tre'Davious White ended the season with a torn ACL. He'll be back next year, but that's definitely a position group they could add to. And they're going to go ahead and add Andrew Booth Jr., cornerback Clemson, only dropping because of injuries, definitely a top 25 talent when healthy, and an immediate day one starter for the Buffalo Bills as they make their Super Bowl run. On to pick 26. Tennessee Titans. To me, they're going to go defense here, and they're going to get an immediate leader and impact player in Nakobe Dean, linebacker from Georgia. Not as long or as athletic as Devin Lloyd, but on tape, he is just wherever the football is, that's where Nakobe Dean is. High football IQ, high character, a really solid value at pick 26, Nakobe Dean. Pick number 27. Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the clock. They are really in good shape with their roster. I think they could go be in kind of a best player available mindset. They did lose safety Jordan Whitehead to the New York Jets, so I think they could be in the market for a starting safety. And Kyle Hamilton's the only safety off the board, so there's lots of good options for them here. I think they're going to go with Daxton Hill, safety out of Michigan, who has some flexibility, can cover the slot. 32nd overall best player. It's a little bit of a reach according to this metric, but I think that's fine value for an immediate starter in your secondary. Green Bay back on the clock. They have 2 first-round picks because of the Davante Adams trade. They lost an edge rusher to a division rival, to Minnesota, and David Ojabo would have been a really good pick here, but unfortunately, I think the Achilles injury is going to bump him out of the first round. So I think the Packers are going to go ahead and look for the next best available edge, which is going to be Boye Mafe, edge from Minnesota. He's going to be the pick there. Day one starter. They need to start to get younger and add more depth to their defensive front after losing one of their Smith brothers, and they're a little older in the defensive front four in general. Moving into pick 29, Kansas City. To me, this has been the easiest pick to mock because they lost both starting safeties. It's a position that they definitely need to upgrade, and there's good value to be had here. So to me, the pick here is going to be Jaquan Brisker, safety, Penn State. 6 foot, 205, a do-it-all safety, can tackle, can cover, can play the slot, can play the run. Jack of all trades, day one starter for Kansas City. Kansas City, back on the clock. They have a double pick. And they did lose Tyreek Hill. I think they're going to go ahead and get a playmaker in Jahan Dotson. He's 5'11", he's 183, he's a little smaller, but could be really dynamic in the slot. Is almost like a kick returner once he gets the ball in his hands. And he lessens the sting a little bit of losing Tyreek Hill. Jahan Dotson is the pick at 30. Now, for However, this has always been an offensive lineman pick here, but the Cincinnati Bengals did upgrade their offensive line a little bit in free agency, so they might not necessarily have to go that way if another position has better value to them. But here, I think they have good value and a position of need. I think Kenyon Green, interior offensive lineman from Texas A&M, is a plug-and-play starter at guard. They got La'el Collins, and now they get Kenyon Green. That's two big improvements to the offensive line to protect Joe Burrow. That's the reason why they were sort of uncompetitive in the second half of the Super Bowl, because they were overwhelmed by the LA Rams front four. This helps here. Kenyon Green is the pick at 31. We have to round out the first round. The Lions, they have pick 2 and 32. 2 was a little bit too high for a quarterback, but 32, maybe not. I think they're going to go ahead and take a flyer on Desmond Ridder, who has pretty good traits, definitely better traits than Sam Howell or Matt Corral. So he seems to have leapfrogged them in the pre-draft process out of Cincinnati. He's going to be the pick here. Maybe sits behind Jared Goff for 1 year, and then they give him a shot to start in 2023. So that rounds out the 2022 NFL Draft, the first round. Let me know what you think in the comments below. How badly did I screw up your team's pick? Specifically, let me know how you think about the Jets coming away with Ahmad Sauce Gardner and Jermaine Johnson. Thank you for watching, and let's go Jets.